Meet Karri, a former Miss Minnesota Galaxy 2025 and United States of America's Miss Wisconsin 2024. She is a proud University of Minnesota graduate and marketing professional. Karri has turned her passion into helping children into an impactful movement. Through her organization, Karri is bringing kindness to life in elementary schools, from fundraising and installing buddy benches to empowering kids to build lasting friendships. She's proving that even small actions can spark a ripple effect of impact. Her journey to this mission started with a personal experience all too many can relate to, but through it all, Karri learned what it means to stand up, persevere, and use her own experiences to create change for others. Karri, welcome to Act to Impact. I cannot wait to dive into your story today, learn more about STAR by Karri, and hear about the incredible impact that you're making in Minnesota and beyond. You're listening to Act to Impact with Brandi DeVries. Through heartfelt stories of resilience, hope, and community, I share my personal experience as a longtime advocate and fundraiser for the national nonprofit Children's Cancer Research Fund. Invite pediatric cancer families to tell their stories and highlight individuals who use their unique gifts to create a positive impact.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, everyone, welcome to Act to Impact. Thank you for listening and to watching. I just really wanted, first of all, to let you know that at the time of this recording of Act to Impact, we've had nearly 800 downloads and over 75,000 views on YouTube, and that number continues to rise. So thank you so much for helping me to reach more action takers and difference makers, people who are just like you, because you are watching and listening to these episodes. So before we dive in, I want you to take action and make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you currently haven't. Be sure to follow me on social media at Brandi.DeVries and follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. All right, Karri, let's get things kicked off with you now. I love starting off Act to Impact with talking about how I'm connected to guests that I have on the show. And I want to know how you initially got involved in pageants in the first place, because that's how we know each other. And I think that I might have judged you at Miss Wisconsin USA.
You did. Were you also my judge for Miss Minnesota USA as well? Because I did
No,
compete in Minnesota. Okay. I couldn't remember. I was like, I know her and I think she was one of my judges. So that's so funny. So that was like kind of our introduction to each other. And that's where I started in pageantry, was the USA system. When I was in high school, I really wanted to do a teen pageant, and my parents were like, let's wait. We want you to make that decision when you're an adult. And I was like, that's okay. So right after my 18th birthday, I signed up for my first pageant. And the reason I really wanted to do it is because I wanted to make friends. And I heard that some of the best friendships had come from pageantry, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I joined in. I signed up for my first USA. Miss Wisconsin's Teen USA was my first ever pageant. I signed up 2 days after my 18th birthday. So that was the starter for me. And then after that, it's grown into where I am now and what I've been doing now. But really, the reason why I started in pageantry was to make those connections. And a lot of those connections I made at Miss Wisconsin Teen USA, I still talk to those women to this day. So with every pageant I've competed in, I've always walked away with a friend, which is, to me, the best part of pageantry.
I love that. We all have our reasons for competing. And sometimes it is just as simple as you want to be part of a community and you want to meet people, like-minded individuals who are excited about the glitz and the glam, but also the service component that a lot of us title holders bring to pageants as well. So I love that. Thanks for being honest about what inspired you to get involved in pageants. I love that. So let's get to know you a little bit better as well, just beyond your pageant experience. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You mentioned Wisconsin, so we know you're originally from Wisconsin, but living in Minnesota now. And what are some of your hobbies? What do you do for your job, or a recent proud moment?
So I grew up in Wisconsin, born and raised, and I've spent my entire adult life living in Minnesota. So I think it's safe to call myself a Minnesotan now. But my friends from Minnesota still refer to me as a Wisconsinite, which I'm like, I'm not, but it's fine. I'll take it. I work as a marketing specialist for Anagram International. So it's a balloon company. So my job is a lot of fun. I do a lot of our social media content, our influencer partnerships. Some really cool things that I did recently is I partnered with a decorator who decorated for Teddy Swims' baby shower. So I was sending all that product. So that was a very fun and cool collab that I got to be a part of. I guess some of my hobbies, I love to cook. I love to bake. Right now I have a pot roast in the oven. And last night I made a pumpkin dark chocolate chip pumpkin muffins. So I'm very much in fall cooking mode right now. And I love spending time with my Boston Terrier rescue dog, Stevie. She just turned 7 not too long ago. So some things I like to do with her, I just like to take her on walks. She's literally the light of my life, the reason I get out of bed in the morning. Oh.
And I also am into fall baking as well. I made pumpkin chocolate chip cookies for muffins for my son. I've made like a total Midwest thing. Like it's a 7-layer bar, but it's in a cookie.
Yes.
And there are 5 ingredients. It's great. I have made banana bread. I've made, yeah, all the fall baking things. I am totally into it too. So,
All of the fall. Fall is the
yes.
best season for cooking and baking, I swear. All the recipes have been popping up on TikTok for me, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make that next week.
Okay. So you are currently or formerly, however you want to look at it, Miss Minnesota Galaxy 2025, and you've held other state titles over the years as well. But going into this pageant, what was your priority with the difference that you wanted to make? And what was your plan to accomplish that beyond the title?
For me, it was one, I really wanted to push myself to finish my children's book that I had been working on. And two, it was really getting out in the community of Minnesota because I was going to be representing them on the international stage. And growing up in Wisconsin after college, I moved there for 9 months when I was United States of America's Miss Wisconsin. So when I was living in Wisconsin, I had just moved back and hadn't really done any events or being really engaged with the Minnesota community. So one of my priorities other than writing my children's book was getting out and talking with the Minnesota community about my impact and what I was going to be doing with STAR and what I have been doing with STAR. So that was at the forefront of me being Miss Minnesota Galaxy.
So, what was your fireball moment that sparked you into action to start STAR? And what does STAR stand for? I didn't want to like explain it in the intro because I wanted to hear it from you.
Yeah, so STARS stands for Speak Up for Yourself and Others, Think About Your Words and Actions, Accept Others, and Reach Out. And the foundation of STAR is to foster friendships within elementary schools and encourage them to speak up for each other, kind of addressing bullying in a way and helping out other students to make sure that they know that words do hurt and actions do matter. And so stemming from that, I wanted to give students a opportunity to make more friends and create some of those friendship inclusion spaces. And I was actually watching a movie one time, and this buddy bench idea was a part of this movie, and it was kind of something they poked fun at. But the more I kind of thought about it and was talking with friends and family regarding it, they were like, that's actually a really good idea. My mom used to work at an elementary school, and they had brought up buddy benches being something that they eventually wanted in their elementary school. And so I decided to start fundraising for that. I was like, this is my opportunity to take my organization STAR and really put it into action because at this time I was kind of just using my words, kind of raising awareness, but my motto is we're all aware, but what are you doing? And so I wanted to be out there doing things with this. And so from there, I started partnering with local businesses, local organizations to fundraise for these benches. Outside of that, this is pre my children's book, but I was selling bracelets for this as well. So partnering with businesses in my hometown to sell these bracelets, and all of the proceeds from that went to my very first bench, which was placed at the elementary school that I went to when I was a kid. So my very first buddy bench was placed at Coon Valley Elementary School in Coon Valley, Wisconsin. So And it was really exciting to see, like, how it was used. I went in and spoke about how it was used and kind of the impact that, especially with the bigger kids, that they can make by being those role models for the younger students to encourage the use. But it is a multifaceted project because you have to get the teachers on board, you have to get school administration on board, and then you have to get the students on board as well. Using all three of those different individuals together to make this process what it is and make it successful.
So you said something that kind of sparked my interest as a parent because my son is 7.
Mhm.
And he talks about sometimes like, "Oh, I don't wanna play with so and so." And I talk to him about how it's important to, like, make sure we're including all of our friends. But maybe I don't know the right words to say, or I maybe could turn to a resource like you to help me as a parent know how can I talk to my son about having him be a good friend and be inclusive and kind of follow like this STAR method that you have.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it, how I describe it to kids, is it all starts with kindness. And you don't always have to want to hang out with somebody or want to be friends with them, but you still have to be kind. At the end of the day, you do still have to be kind. And maybe they're friends with somebody else in your group and you're not as close with them. That's okay too. But what most matters is the kindness that you show others and show those individuals who you may not get along with the best, or you might not have the same interests, but that's okay. But if they're by themselves, you still have to be kind and you still want to include them in that way, regardless of how you feel about them. Kindness goes a very, very long
Yeah, you're right. We've talked I mean, it's hard to talk to little kids about that
way.
too
Mhm.
sometimes, and I think about trying to explain that to Bane where he'll tell me, somebody's sitting alone on the bus or so and so was left out of something, and I'm like, "Hey, it's up to you to go up to them and say, 'Hey, you wanna play with us?' or 'What's wrong?' or just showing that they are seen because those kids might
Exactly.
just not feel seen too at that time." So, yeah.
All it takes is just walking up and saying hi. And that's really why I believe these buddy benches are so important. And what school administrators have given me feedback on is it acts as kind of like a spotlight or a signal to these kids where they are alone. Like they are asking for somebody to come over and talk to them or include them in their game of kickball or hanging out on the monkey bars. Like they're looking for that. And so it really gives that signal of like, hey,
Mm.
I want to meet new people, or hey, I'm in need of a friend. And I've gotten very positive feedback from the two benches I've placed so far. So it's been really nice to hear that the method is working and it is helping kids.
Where's the second bench at then that you
It
placed?
is in Fond du Lac at, my gosh, I can't remember the name of the school. I partnered with Autumn Castine. She's our former
Mhm.
Mrs. Galaxy 2024, and it's actually at her son's elementary school. So I have two on each side of the state of Wisconsin right now, and I'm working on my third for Minnesota.
Yes, so can you tell us a little bit more where in Minnesota potentially one might be placed?
I haven't decided yet. Usually
Okay.
before I kind of order the bench, because I order them from a company that's based out of Wisconsin. Lifetime warranty, so if anything ever happens, I can easily replace the bench. But I always will put a call out and be like, hey, does anybody know of a school that would benefit from something like this or is in desperate need of something like this? Like, please reach out to me and let me know. And usually I just work with and kind of do research on the schools that people give to me. I reach out to school administrators because I always ask for approval before I'm going in and placing these benches in elementary schools by the playgrounds. Whatever school is on board with this project, I always send over a whole packet of information of kind of where this started, why it's happening, kind of here's the benefits of it, here's my success stories, things like that. And then once I get that approval, the work really starts of getting that bench here.
All right, so let's talk about your book, A Seat for Friendship. Launching a book takes a lot of creativity and organization. So, what personal gifts and skills did you have to tap into to make the book, A Seat for Friendship, a reality?
For me, it was my writing skills. I graduated with my degree in journalism, actually, even though I work in marketing, but I've always had a really good knack for writing. My mom always says, I wish I had the knack for writing that you do. I don't know how you write the way you do. And I'm like, well, thank you. So I use those skills to really write my story, and I wanted to make it something that kids of all ages could really understand and kind of relate to in a way. And so, using my writing skills, I thankfully in the marketing world have a lot of connections connections with some creative people who are much more creative in the drawing world than I am. And so I reached out to a former coworker and was like, "Would you be down to illustrate this book for me?" And he was immediately on board. And so that's truly where the process began as I started writing my story, fine-tuning that so that it was understandable for all ages, and then passed that off to him. And we went through multiple different rounds of edits, even just for the visuals, like re-editing parts of my story so it flowed better. And so from that, so the first part basically of my book is essentially kind of showing through visuals and a story how buddy benches are used and kind of the purpose of them. And it follows a student named Louis who's new to school, doesn't really know anybody, doesn't really have any friends. And it follows him through sitting on the buddy bench, making those friends and talking about the purpose of it. And so from that, the last half of the story is what I have done and what I'm continuing to do with it. So it gives those real life, like, hey, this is where the money from you purchasing this book is going to. And it's showing the benches. Me and my dad build every single bench with our own two hands in his garage. And so taking the story and also putting it into real life and showing people that, hey, this is a real thing that I am doing.
So was the story inspired? Is it like your story that you're kind of putting into the book? Were you a kid then that kind of felt lonely and it needed a buddy?
In a way, yeah, and that's really why I started this. I had friends, but all of my friends were from a different school that was 45 minutes away from me. All of my friends I had met through my local church through my youth group actually. And so I went to church in a town further away than where I lived. And so none of my friends were in the same school district as me. And my school where I grew up in a very, very small town. So we've all gone to school together since kindergarten. So once those friends groups were established, it was kind of hard to like break in and find different friends and make new friends, if that makes sense. And so throughout middle school and high school, I kind of felt lonely in a way where I was friends with these people, but I didn't have any close friends where I could like talk to them about problems or talk to them about a boy problem or anything like that. And so I did feel really lonely. And that's why I do tend to focus on elementary schools to kind of make sure that these kids are really opening up to the possibility of new friends, regardless of the size of your school.
So what do you think like the adult version of a buddy bench would be?
The adult version.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Because I feel like as adults, we all feel, especially with people like you and I, like I'm from
Hmm.
North Dakota, you're from Wisconsin, we're moving to a new place. And if you don't connect with your coworkers, or I have found that in Minnesota, people who have been friends since high school are still friends and still hang out. And it's hard to break into some of those circles.
For sure. For me, a lot of my friends, the ones that I have outside of college, I have been introduced to by other friends, or surprisingly enough, a couple friends I have actually met through TikTok. I made a TikTok a couple weeks ago where I visited Falls Coffee, kind of on the outskirts of Minneapolis, and posted just like, I was so excited to try this. I saw it on TikTok. Went, people in my comments were like, oh my gosh, I live in the same area as you. And I ended up hanging out with 2 different individuals who had, like, texted me and was like, "I just moved here. Can we go grab coffee? Can we go hang out?" And so I was able to make friends through social media. So I'm wondering if maybe social media is the answer or the buddy bench for adults. I'm questioning that now.
Yeah, maybe. I know I have
Maybe.
sure met a lot of people just through Act to Impact and this platform and using my voice on social media and people reaching out and introducing me to other people. And just I saw somebody who was also advocating for childhood cancer, reached out to know more about their story. And now it's like, okay, now we're friends. So yeah, maybe social media is the buddy
Social
bench for
media
adults.
is always connecting us, I swear.
It is. It is. Love it or hate it. It does connect people. It really
It
does.
does. It really does.
Okay, so how have your experiences in pageantry equipped you with the skills and the confidence to make a meaningful impact in your community? And how have you applied those skills to your platform?
It has given me the drive. It's kind of made me a force to be reckoned with, I always say, because pageantry has really formed me into when I get an idea, I'm following it all the way through always. And I never really used to be like that pre-pageantry. I was like, okay, I have this idea. Maybe I want to do something with it. I don't know, like I'm really young, or I don't know if I have the resources for it. And now, having been in pageantry so long and having built like a newfound confidence, I have the confidence to reach out to total strangers and be like, hey, would you be interested in this? Or hey, do you want to partner with me on this? And so it's really made me kind of a driving force to follow through with each idea that I have or each thing that I want to do, regardless of how small it may be or large it may be. It's made me a force to be reckoned with. And so I think that for a lot of people, especially I just turned 24. I'm pretty young, I think still, but it's it's scary to start something when you're like, okay, I don't have really the life experience to go ahead and do this. Like I don't know where to start, where to begin. And what pageantry has really taught me is, well, figure it out. Figure out where to start. You don't know, okay, start doing your research, start with your idea, maybe take it back a couple steps. Maybe that's your end goal. Where do you need to start to get there? And so for me, it's really formulating a plan on, okay, what are the steps for me to take to be able to get to the point that I want, and how can I get there? And that's really, I think, what's made me so successful and made me complete the things that I've wanted to complete is the drive that pageantry has truly given me.
Where is your long-term vision for STAR then and the Buddy Bench?
I eventually would love to do a second one. Long-term goal, I hope by the time I'm retiring from corporate America that I have placed a bench in all 50 states. That would be my number one goal, my number one accomplishment. And I've said that since the start. It would be so cool to be able to have a Star by Car Buddy bench in all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii, of course. Like, I just think that would be so cool to say that I have a bench in every state of the country. And slowly but surely, I'm going to work towards that goal, but it'll be a slow burn. I know that with confidence and the drive that I have, I know I can do it. It's just figuring out all the actual logistics of that, but I know I'll get there.
And so Buddy Benches can be put up by anybody, right?
Yes, they can. They
Okay.
absolutely can. So buddy
Did
benches, it is more so, and that's like the reason why I wrote my book, was a lot of people were confused on one, what a buddy bench was. And I guess I could explain it for listeners who don't know what a buddy bench is. It's a bench placed near a playground that acts as a signal to other children that someone's in need of a friend. And so it establishes and starts, it helps students and children create these friendships that they might not know somebody is in need of a friend or is in needing to be included, or maybe their friends were rude to them and they don't want anything to do with it. Regardless of the situation, it acts as a signal that someone's in need of a friend. And so working, like I said, with school administrators and teachers to say, hey, like, oh, that kid needs a friend, like maybe go talk to them, and like encouraging students to get to that point. And the buddy benches, I work with a company, like I said, out of Wisconsin, but anybody can grab a bench. It doesn't have to say buddy bench on it. It can just be a bench. And regardless, it acts as that signal to start fostering friendships within children. So it is definitely something that anybody can be included on. If you see it, students or a kid sitting alone near the playground, like take a moment to walk over and talk to them. Just start that conversation, because I truly believe that every friendship starts with a conversation.
What advice would you give about taking action and using your gifts to create positive change?
No thought or idea to make an impact is ever going to be too small. I think we need more people out there really taking action and doing things. Definitely, like for me, I always say I play to my strengths. And for me, my strength is always going to be my writing skills and my social media skills. So I do a lot of my advocacy and my connection work through social media. And on top of that, I wrote a children's book. Knowing your strengths and really taking time to reflect on those strengths and how it can make an impact and how you can use those strengths to do what you want to do and how to take action that way. I think that's the best advice that I could give people, is regardless of how grand your idea is or how small your idea is, just taking that and having the drive to follow through with it and complete it to the best of your ability.
So tell us one more time where people can learn more about your book, Star by Car, and the Buddy Bench Initiative.
You can follow along on the Star by Car venture. I post a lot about it on my pageant account, which is Miss Karri Seland on Instagram. Otherwise, you can go to my website, starsocial.org/about to learn all about the Star by Car initiative, what I've done so far, and how you can get involved. If you want to purchase my book, you can search A Seat for Friendship on Amazon. It is available worldwide.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna have to check it out. For sure. Maybe a book for my son loves to read. Sorry. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story with Act to Impact and the audience and the work that you're doing with A Seat for Friendship is truly inspiring. So I always admire people who are able to write books because I would like to write one someday, but I don't exactly know where to start. So, but the
Well,
good
if you
thing
need
is,
help, I'm here. I went through
yes,
it. It's
I
definitely a process. It's a lot. Amazon does not make it easy.
that's the key. I have resources, people like you that I can turn to. So,
Exactly. I'm
yes,
here.
but it's been really amazing to see how you're using your gifts to create kindness and inclusion and connections with schools across Wisconsin and Minnesota and potentially all 50 states across the
Fingers
United
crossed.
States. I
Fingers
think you can
crossed.
do it. Yes. So for everyone listening, if you want to learn more about Kari and her book, please reference what she had just said. I'll leave links in the show notes so that you can reference that back. Kari, it really has just been a pleasure having you on Act to Impact today. Thank you so much for taking action and making an impact.
Thank you so much for having me, Brandy. I appreciate you and all that you do for Act to Impact. It's wonderful to hear everybody's stories, and I'm going to continue to listen.
You've been listening to Act to Impact with Brandi DeVries. If this show ignited your fire and inspired you to take action to make an impact, please share this episode with a friend, leave a 5-star review, or write a review to let others know how the show impacted you. I can't wait to see the action you are taking to make an impact, and I'd love for you to share that with our community. Go ahead and tag me on social media as you are out making an impact in the world. Do you have a story to share and want to be a guest on Act to Impact? I'd love to connect with you.